to expect from Nintendo in 2024? Well, we've already talked about what big games to expect, and we've kind of talked about what Mario games to expect. So now, let's actually dive in and talk about everything we can expect, from big to small. What is the year actually going to be like? That is what we are here to talk about today, because there's so many games that we know about, there's so many little rumors and stuff out there, and there's also so many things that Nintendo just hasn't even told us yet. So as the year is coming to a close and we're beginning 2024 very soon, I felt like it was the perfect time to finally make some predictions and some thoughts of what I think Nintendo is going to do for 2024. Before we get started, I want to thank you guys for an amazing year, and let's close it out with a big one. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe so that way you can stay tuned to everything Nintendo for 2024. Thank you so much for tuning in, and let's jump into the video. Let's start off with what we do know, and honestly, we know a lot from Nintendo already. I mean, a lot of it is smaller games, ports and remasters, remakes, but still, there's a lot on the slate already. We're not completely in the dark whatsoever. So starting off on February 16th, we're going to get Mario vs. Donkey Kong, which is kind of a remake from the Game Boy Advanced game. This is a very strange one to me, and like I said, it's a very niche title, and probably a lot of people are going to sleep on it. It's a really fun puzzle platformer, so please, try it out. You will definitely have a good time with it. I think it was a lot of fun. And at the same time, I can see this being kind of just like a, here you go, it's gone before we even know it. I don't know what incentivizes Nintendo to release this thing, but you know what, sure. Then on March 22nd, just the next month, we have Princess Peach Showtime, which is Nintendo's big game for next year. I think it's pretty cool to see Princess Peach go through all these transformations, and I think there's going to be a lot of other cool ones, but it's probably going to be very easy. It's probably going to be a, you know, aimed towards a younger audience, it feels like, and probably more along the lines of another Yoshi game. So I think it is going to be one of those games that a lot of people just kind of like, they play real quick and it's done. No one's really talking about. It's just not going to be a real big hit or anything like that for Nintendo, and I think Nintendo even knows that. That's why they saved it for the end, because they're just like, oh yeah, we still have this Princess Peach game. But yeah, that's their big game for next year so far. So yeah, we're still going to need some big stuff from Nintendo, because for that to be the highlight of next year is kind of funny right now. Then we know in spring of 2024 that we'll be getting Splatoon 3's side order DLCs. So I'm guessing probably around the March-April time frame sounds about right. But yeah, this thing has been heavily anticipated. We've been talking about this for so long now, and it's probably one of the longest waits for a DLC that we've kind of ever gotten outside of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, because we didn't even know it was going to get DLC so many years later. But at the same time, I think this is going to be one of the bigger ones for Nintendo, because I think their DLCs are always very ambitious, just like obviously the Octo expansion. So I think this is going to be a big thing for Splatoon 3. Let's just hope it comes sooner than later. We're not just still waiting all the way until May for this thing to release. It's definitely time. Next up, we have Luigi's Mansion 2 HD in the summer of 2024. That's all we know. So I'm guessing around June. I think it's going to be early summer, because it just makes sense. This game, there's no way it's going to take longer than that, because it looks like it's just slightly up-res from the 3DS and nothing else really changed at all, at least from the trailers that I've seen. I think they added some additional online support. You know, you can play like the Scare Scraper and stuff with some friends, but for the most part, it looks like the same exact game. Yeah, this one's another weird one in my opinion. Out of like all the old games, all the old 3DS games and stuff, this was just like, okay, all right. I'd rather have Luigi's Mansion 1 on the Switch, but you know what, do your thing, Nintendo. I think this is also going to be one of those that just kind of goes and, you know, moves on, because it's one of the Luigi's Mansions that a lot of people aren't big fans of, and I'm kind of, you know, confused as to why they want to put this out now after Luigi's Mansion 3, which goes back to more of that open-endedness of the mansion, or technically of the hotel. Luigi's Mansion 2 takes a step back and goes into like these mission-based challenges for the story, which is definitely different, and it might throw some players off. Hopefully it doesn't, you know, turn players off so they don't want Luigi's Mansion 4 or something like that. But yeah, that's kind of all we have for the summer right now. And finally, the last thing that we actually know about is Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door remake, which we just have a date of 2024, which means it's probably going to be towards the very end of the year, probably around the fall time. I would guess around August, I think would be a really great time. August or September, that's when I'm expecting that. But yeah, obviously a super fan favorite, one of the biggest highlights and announcements of this whole year, and I cannot wait to get my hands on this game, even though, once again, it's just an HD remake or remaster of an old game. So yeah, Nintendo's year so far, everything that we know, 4 of the 5 games I just talked about are actually like remakes, remasters, or some form of DLC. And there's only one new title being Princess Peach. So yeah, clearly Nintendo has some things to announce, but let's move on to the next category and see what else could happen. Next, we can talk about the rumors and the leaks. What has been whispering amongst the community? Well, there's a lot of things that we could actually talk about here. I mean, seriously, you could place like 4 or 5 games in this category, but I only did 2 because there's 2 that has been prominently talked about for the last couple of years. And the first one, obviously, is the big new console this holiday, along with a 3D open world Mario game. Now, a lot of people are still debating the next console. A lot of people are saying, well, there's a huge potential that it's going to be at the end of next year, 2024. A lot of people think it's going to be 2025. Well, it's really hard to say right now. I still think it has to be the end of next year unless Nintendo's got some big cards to play. But honestly, in my mind, I just think that they kind of done everything they could right now for the Switch that would be considered big. I mean, the next big thing has got to be Mario or Donkey Kong, in my opinion. And Mario's definitely going to be on the next console. So, I mean, that leaves nothing left but Donkey Kong. So we'll get into that in a second. But yes, the new console, I think if it is going to come, it will be in October/November of 2024. And yes, that big open world 3D Mario goodness is going to be there, as well as probably the one and only huge game of next year, which is honestly all we need. But my second thing was definitely something Donkey Kong related. We've heard the rumors of a 2D game. We've heard the rumors of a 3D game, that the Odyssey team was working on a 3D game. So where is it at? And honestly, when it comes to like more big games that we could get on the Switch before the next console, I feel like Donkey Kong is our last resort. I feel like we've gotten everything, like I said, and it's just not time for any other series to get another huge game. No Luigi's Mansions yet, no Kirby's, no more Marios, no more Zeldas. So like, what's next? What else could they do? It has to be Donkey Kong. So if there is going to be another big game to end off on the Switch, it's going to be Donkey Kong, and I'd say it's going to be around early summer. It just seems to make the most sense, maybe late spring, something big in the middle of the year. This next category, I want to talk about things that are just not announced yet that could definitely happen for next year. So I think we're going to get tons of small titles, and we're definitely going to get another small Mario spinoff, in my opinion. I think it's time for both a new Mario Sports game and a Mario Party game. I think Mario Sports could definitely be baseball or maybe even basketball, but baseball just seems the most likely, as they're going back and doing more sports of things that they've done in the past, and baseball is like one of the only ones left out right now. Mario Party for sure could definitely come out around earlier next year, maybe even later. It depends on what's coming later next year, but Mario Party something. So yeah, it's something Mario Sports, something Mario Party. It just seems like it's about time for something like that. And of course, lots of ports and remasters to tie us over until, whatever happens at the end of the year. But yeah, I'm saying that we're going to be seeing things like Metroid Prime 2 and 3, Zelda games, like maybe that Ocarina of Time remake, rumor or leak, or whatever, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess HD ports, maybe even Kid Icarus Uprising HD or F-Zero GX HD, or maybe even that old Fire Emblem game that was also rumored. I know I didn't put this all in the rumor category because I just didn't want to, sue me. But yeah, lots of old fan favorites and stuff, just filling out the Switch with as many games as they possibly can before it's all said and done with. Also, we're due for a new Yoshi game. I know like the Princess Peach Showtime game feels like it's kind of developed by the Yoshi team, but we need another Yoshi game. Whether it's like Good Field, something along the lines of Woolly World, Crafted World, or maybe even a new Yoshi's Island would be really great, or some type of new 3D Yoshi game. I think Yoshi should actually take that transition the same way Kirby did, where Kirby jumped into 3D with the Forgotten Land. I think Yoshi should do something similar, something that's more confined and more linear, like Mario 3D World and the Forgotten Land. Imagine like a 3D Yoshi's Island, or just like a Yoshi's Island 3D. Oh my goodness, I think that would be heaven. I mean, Yoshi's Crafted World is already utilizing like background elements and trying to push like a 2.5D perspective, so maybe they're already like planning something along those lines for a 3D game, but who knows? I'm just really hoping that's the case. And then last but not least, something Pokemon is definitely going to happen around November. I would expect towards like the very end of the year, and based off of what's been coming out, like I said, I'm not a huge Pokemon fan, but I know if I didn't bring this up, a lot of people would attack me. But yeah, based off of what I've been hearing, there's rumors that it could be another Legends game, and I think people absolutely loved Legends Arceus. So as they take their time to prepare for the next big gen and actually flush it out, make it work right, get rid of the bugs, and just really work hard on this next game and this next series for Pokemon, I think this is the best direction to go to feed the fans what they really have enjoyed, that kind of open world hunting style for Pokemon. So I can definitely see there being some type of Legends Pokemon game next year. Now, one thing that we do have to talk about that a lot of you brought to my attention is that Kirby and HAL Labs has kind of pumped out, new games almost every single year. There's been something. And of course, it's going to be a little while until we see another big mainline Kirby game, in my opinion. I mean, we got Forgotten Land just over a year and a half, 2 years ago. And of course, Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe the beginning of this year. So we're not going to see a big new Kirby game next year. Probably no chance. But I do think we could get something small. We know Kirby likes to throw in those little mid-tier games, those smaller titles that tie us over into the next game. So we could be getting something along the lines of like another Kirby Fighters or another Kirby Battle Royale fighting game, which actually was really fun. I wish they would have actually put that on a home console, but honestly, what I think they should do is make more treasure road challenges for the Forgotten Land. I think those were so much fun. Picking a copy ability and trying to beat the challenge with that copy ability. Well, technically you wouldn't pick it. The challenge was based around that copy ability, but I love those little challenge rooms. I thought they were so much fun, and they could easily make a new game even out of all those challenge rooms, like a whole bunch of new challenge rooms and stuff in order for you to complete, or maybe a little eShop game that just gives you a game full of 2D challenges, just like Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe, where you have tons of copy abilities and you have to go through these little challenge rooms. You guys know what I'm talking about. In order to get the medals, to get the platinum medal, it takes like an absolute perfect run. I would love to do that in a full-fledged game full of little challenges like that. So I think that would be a really cool surprise for next year. There's a lot of smaller IPs that we can talk about that are still not on Switch, like Rhythm Heaven, Punch Out, Earthbound. We can keep going on and on and on. Kid Icarus, Excitebike. But at the same time, there's one that just feels like it should be, because it's more prominent than the others in my opinion, which is Star Fox. We haven't really gotten a Star Fox game at all on the Nintendo Switch. Not even Star Fox Zero brought over. Nothing. Not a nilch. So yeah, where is Star Fox? Maybe it's just because Starlink Battle for Atlas kind of added the Star Fox characters and added them into the story, and a lot of people even said like the gameplay there was just like what they wanted from Star Fox. So I guess maybe that's all we're getting, but yeah, I would love to see something from Star Fox next year. Man, that would be a pretty big surprise if they've been working on a big Star Fox game this whole time and just waiting for the very end of the Switch to reveal the thing. But the Switch is the time to do it, baby. Let's bring Star Fox back into the light and let's get that thing on the roll again. Now, the last category I want to talk about is announcements, because it's not just going to be games releasing. I feel like next year it's going to be a big announcement year where we're starting to get things talked about for the future. Once again, I think it's going to be a lot of ports and remasters, and we're going to hear a lot of really good things that are to come, which is going to keep us hype and excited for Nintendo. But we'll probably see something from the new Mario game very early next year, and it's probably going to be the thing that carries us on all the way throughout the rest of the year. But if it doesn't come out at the end of the year next year, I could see it being at the very beginning of the year of 2025. Either way, we're probably in for a big hype train and hype cycle like we normally are for the next huge Nintendo game, like we were with Tears of the Kingdom, like with Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild. We're about to get into that hype cycle. Smash Ultimate even, where we're just super excited for the game. We hear about it months in advance. I'm talking like 6, 7, 8, 9 months in advance, almost a year in advance, and we're just kind of waiting for the game and talking about it. And I think that's going to be Mario, where I would expect the January or February direct or presentation, whatever we get to see this Mario game finally, or at least get the logo, get something to get us hype about the thing, which I am so excited for. Yes, this goes for that new console as well. I'm kind of just putting Mario and that new Nintendo Switch in the same, boat here, since a lot of the rumors are saying that that's what the launch title is going to be. Metroid Prime 4, you guys know I am one of the few people around the globe that predict every year that it's not going to happen. A lot of people keep saying it's going to. I keep saying not a chance, at least until Prime 2 and 3 comes out. It's just clear that's what Nintendo's doing. That's what they're waiting for. Why are they still waiting to release 2 and 3? I don't know, but I guess Metroid Prime 4 is just not ready yet. But we will see it next year. I am super confident of that now. I have not said this before. We will see it next year. It just seems like it's time. Whether it's going to be shown off for the next console. I mean, they got to show off a new style of game, something big, something flashy if there is going to be a console coming soon, whether it is next year or even 2025. So I expect probably around the summer or fall direct, we will see something from Metroid Prime 4. I am certain. Something. Next up, of course, we're going to get some big announcements around the summer and fall. And I think there are a couple of big games, at least for 2025, that are approaching that time period again where we could see a new game in that franchise. Which means Mario Kart X. Yes, baby, that's been rumored. Mario Kart X, Mario Kart Crossroads, whatever the next Mario Kart is actually going to be. I think 2025 sounds pretty good for that game, and I think a lot of people agree with that. So we could actually be getting that announcement next year. Think about that. It's kind of exciting. Mario Maker 3, we're approaching that time again. It'll be 5, almost 6 years. So yeah, it's time for that baby to come out as well. Luigi's Mansion 4 in the same exact boat as Mario Maker 3. So we're probably going to gear up for that after Luigi's Mansion 2 this year. Luigi's Mansion 4 next year. Well, 2025, if you know what I mean. I'm speaking as if we're in 2024. I'm sorry. But yes, if there's no Donkey Kong for 2024, I think we at least see something from Donkey Kong, and it does release in 2025 for that new console. But these seem like the games that are most likely to come around for that next cycle, because it's coming back around the time for those again. But yeah, that's super exciting. Then not just games, but also movies, because we could get some movie announcements for Mario Brothers 2, or maybe a Luigi's Mansion movie that was rumored, or that rumored Donkey Kong spin-off movie that could be coming, or maybe they announced the cast for that Zelda movie that they just announced. There's a lot of things that they could show off with the movie cinematic universe, the new Nintendo cinematic universe that they've created. So who knows, but I definitely think it's not just going to be games. Movies could get slipped in there as well. So overall, how is 2024 going to pan out for Nintendo? Well, I think it's going to be a year of pretty much transitioning from the Switch to that next console. I don't think it's going to be one of the biggest years we've ever gotten, and I would actually keep expectations along the lower side, because I think it's going to be tons of stuff that we love, but tons of old stuff. I think it's going to be lots of more ports, remasters, remakes to get everything else that they possibly can on the Switch before we inevitably move on to the new console. That doesn't mean that there can't be surprises this year, however, including mini ones and maybe 1 or 2 bigger games towards the end of the year, but that doesn't mean next year isn't going to be good by any means, or definitely doesn't mean we're not going to have that much excitement, because for sure we're going to get announcements. We're going to have things along the pipeline to get us excited. I'm sure they have some big games that they want to announce for far off in the future to get us excited, because we don't really have one of those big Zeldas or big Marios or anything to look forward to. So I'm sure Nintendo has something that they're ready to reveal very soon. We just gotta hang in tight. And yes, I do think we're gonna get our Nintendo Directs around the time we normally do. I think we're gonna have a February one, a June one, and obviously one in September. But there might even be a surprise in there. Like maybe one of these upcoming Directs, like the February one, is actually a big presentation for this next console. So who knows? Or maybe it's like a Switch and a Switch Pro conference or something. I don't know. But maybe there's something else coming along the year to get us even more announcements and get us even more hype. But we're just gonna have to wait and see. Let me know down below, what are you most excited for in 2024? And what are you least excited for, at least so far from what we know? Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe before you head out. And like always, I'll see you all on the next one. See you guys.